nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave. Yep. He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You take a look at it, you say, all right, well, can they do this? But the one thing I know, every year I love the SEC championship game. Like this year, we're going to get a pretty good treat in the Big Ten because you have Indiana and Ohio State. But every single year, it's never like I don't have to watch that. Because the reason I bring that up is there's a game that's going to be on 8 o'clock that probably should just be played at midnight or 1 a.m. The ACC championship game. Like, things are not the same.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those two games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get after it. Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid on a Wednesday night. Kevin Walsh with you from the Decisions Desk. I'll let you know right out of the gate, I'm on the Florida Gators. Team total over 100.5 against St. Francis of PA tonight. That game just tipped off. It is a college basketball board with a few ranked teams in action. And all of these games have big-time totals. You will notice we got bowl action, people. Florida's team total, around 100.5. Vanderbilt is supposed to approach 87, 90 points or so against Memphis tonight. Bama's team total is nearly 100 up against South Florida. And same for Gonzaga going up against Campbell. So we will talk about these games. There's a few off-card games, if you will, that actually made this slate for me tonight. We're going to have some fun with this college basketball board here on a Wednesday night. If you're looking for the big leagues, the NBA, coming off of the NBA Cup, it is pretty light here. It's just a 2-game slate before we really get back into full motion. Chicago will be home against the Cavs. They'll be booked as around 5.5-point dogs. Big time total, 241.5, 242 and a hook. And then you get, unfortunately, just a very underwhelming matchup between Minnesota and Memphis. Ja Morant, I think, is doubtful for this game. Anthony Edwards is already confirmed out for this basketball game. So you've got a spot here where it's not star-driven. Again, you're going to really look to get back to it tomorrow. The fallout of an NBA Cup schedule that finished on a high last night with the New York Knicks winning 124-113 over the San Antonio Spurs. OG Anunoby was excellent in this basketball game. Jalen Brunson winning NBA Cup MVP with 25 points in this matchup as well. Gosh, he's wide open! We're going to talk bowl. This is a stressful time here. We listen, we got a lot happening, though. But the NBA Cup, listen, it was another really good year for the NBA Cup. I know there are some people who have some thoughts, but a lot of it, some of it's interesting, most of it's childish, and that's just what you see from an NBA Cup's perspective. Where else, though, will attention be here on a Wednesday night? As you can see, where's my attention right now? With you, as well as with the matchup between South Florida and Old Dominion, as we are right now live with the Cure Bowl in Orlando. ODU driving here in the first half with about 40 seconds left, down 3, trying to potentially get a first half cover, first half money line. The first half total would need an ODU score very quickly, and then South Florida to find a field goal. That's going to be a little up against it. The story of this football game, double backup quarterbacks. That's Gaston Moore going for South Florida. That is Quinn Heineckel going for ODU. And I am on ODU, both money line and +4.5. We are in the portion of bowl season where I always like to know where a number started, and that can make it a little bit tricky if you're feeling as if you've missed out on the best of the number. As I broke the game down, I really cozied up to the ODU side, but sitting at 2.5, even a flat 3, I've decided maybe I'd be better off playing the money line. It's what I did. The line ran back up towards South Florida. Maybe some were expecting more opt-outs to hit this team. South Florida's coach throughout the regular season, Alex Golish. Not only is he gone now with Auburn, but he took a number of staffers. Maybe there was an expectation that there would be more and more and more opt-outs, and that didn't happen, and that's what pushed this number back up towards the Bulls. I liked ODU kind of regardless. I really thought they'd win this game. They got off to a decent start. We'll see if they can bounce back as they got a 3rd and long coming up. We then have the 68 Ventures Bowl tonight between Delaware and Louisiana. I think that, again, it's another spot, and I kind of did these in tandem where I wanted to, double up here, if you will, on from a money line perspective. So I played Delaware at a plus price. I like this. Now, what a name on Louisiana's quarterback. Lunch Winfield. Not bad. Not bad. And the fact that I'm not back in lunch is crazy. But we'll take Delaware dinner, and we'll play them on the money line in this game. This number's dropped a little bit. Look, neither one of these are great teams, but I think Delaware is going to have a little bit more success stopping the Louisiana offense. Winfield was injured. Oh, they blocked the field. Oh, it's a fake? Oh! Mega Man miss! Oh, is it a flag? Oh, my gosh, they killed the kid. Goodness me, what are we doing there, ODU? I mean, it's a bowl game. You almost got to respect it. There's flags all over the place. That's not great. That's not great. You're getting, just take the 3. Oh, just take the 3. Was it a botch? It was a botch. It was a botch. Wow. Unbelievable there. Brutal if you played some ODU first half. Oh! He couldn't figure out the snap. Wow. And then 9-6 drops back to pass like anybody would be running a route. Oh, my. And this kicker with the hold of the season, this kid's going to get himself some left guard snaps. I loved what I saw there. That was a dragon twirl. That's South Florida. DN didn't know what hit him. Oh, my goodness. Hey, that's bowl season, baby. That is bowl season. So that's where we're at right now with bowl season. If you're on the ice tonight, there's a couple of options out there. Yesterday was a big night of NHL action. Draisaitl with his, I believe it was 1,000th point. Crosby on track to, I believe, pass Lemieux for the most assists all time in Pittsburgh Penguins history. That was a huge scoring effort there. 10 total goals in that one. McDavid with a double up, 2 assists, 2 goals as he's just continuing his heater. But then again, Nathan McKinnon late night with 2 goals and an assist in a 5-3 victory against the Kraken. Best game on this slate, I mean, from a odds perspective, it's tight between Detroit and Utah, with the Red Wings at home as a slight favorite against the Mammoth. What's most appealing on the eyes? I think you could argue that might just be the Predators and the Carolina Hurricanes out there in Nashville. Now, on this Wednesday, of course, folks, target player props. A lot for us to get to as far as some target player props go. And there are a few spots where, there are some defined looks that we're going to give people. There are also just some overhanging questions on this slate. And some of that will apply to the game between the Miami Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals, because Quinn Ewers is going to quarterback for Miami. And this is a weird one where benching Tua I understand because he has been very bad. But I also fully expect the Dolphins' offense to be markedly worse when they go from Tua to Quinn Ewers. And I don't know if Mike McDaniel is just frustrated with Tua. I don't know if there is any piece of, listen, I'm not that upset if Quinn Ewers looks terrible. Let's get that draft pick nice and high because Miami is going to look to draft. I think Miami's going to look to draft a quarterback. Simply put, and you guys have seen some of the numbers around Tua, the dead money that could be coming. We're talking nearly $100 million for Tua. So if that ends up playing out like that, well, they're going to need a cheap quarterback. So they're going to be looking to draft a quarterback, no doubt about it. But they're not going to look to play Tua. Now, here's the thing. They're playing the Cincinnati Bengals. We know that defense is still terrible. I mean, the target player props, then it wouldn't just be applicable to what do you do with Quinn Ewers. What's the Devon A-Chain number? I mean, seriously. I mean, do we see a 100 rushing yard prop on Devon A-Chain? Does Ewers target A-Chain as much as Tua did, though? Like, there's a lot of interesting pieces, and there are a number of other target player props that we will get into. But we get to this college basketball slate, some NBA fallout from the Cup with the help of the coach, James Young, after the break, right here on Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid. I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game Time Decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going
I'm
to
saying
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. That's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
They told me.
They
I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
Don't.
Well,
In this economy,
but they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Wednesday night on SportsGrid. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here. And appreciate the coach making some time, JY. Of course, pro basketball today, college basketball today does an excellent job right here on SportsGrid. JY, before we get to tonight's slate, how do we feel about your NBA Cup champion, New York Knicks?
You know, kind of, let's be honest here. When this NBA Cup started a couple of years ago, you and I were probably the biggest fans of this event. You, Steamhead, you were rightfully ahead of me.
Thank you.
and I came up behind. And
I might have had to bully JY a little bit in the beginning, but he got there.
He got there. I got there pretty quickly. I loved it. I thought last night's game was high intensity. It was really good to see both teams compete. They went after each other. I thought Wemby's 3 to put him up 13 could have been the dagger. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at a Tyler Coley, Jordan Clarkson, and Mitchell Robinson lineup, and I'm like, uh-oh, did we just punt the game? No. And it shows, to honestly, the growth of Mike Brown. But now this is where, as a Knicks fan, you have to have Tom Thibodeau questions. Because you know and I know, if that game was a year ago, Tyler Kolek is not playing. Jordan Clarkson, probably not getting big minutes. He would have rode it out with Jalen Brunson and obviously with Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. It showed growth and trust in a coach that is looking to use his bench. And at the end of the day, it comes down to this. When Mitchell Robinson plays and he's engaged, he is a home wrecker. I mean, he wrecks families. Families did not eat last night in San Antonio because Mitchell Robinson literally got more rebounds by himself than I think the entire San Antonio first team.
That was good. I love that. I love you being like, you know what? That's not enough. I need to find another way to describe that. I thought the game was incredibly fun. I will say this: the Knicks not hanging that banner is outrageous, and I do wonder if Adam Silver sends them a little secret memo. But we don't have to get much into that, JY, because we got some games tonight.
Really quick, Kevin.
Yeah.
There is something to say. Remember, folks, there is a little rivalry that people don't want to talk about, and it's Adam Silver and James Dolan. They've had problems for a number of years, particularly the Knicks being pissed off with the amount of revenue that they have to feel like they have to give to the league, being that they're in New York. So I was actually like not surprised that the Knicks are reaching the banner because of that, but also realized that James Dolan wasn't even on stage to get the trophy. He was nowhere to be found because I don't think he even wants to be near Adam Silver. And I think the same could be the other way around.
I think there's also some of the expansion stuff. I think Dolan's supposed to be one of the guys in his way. It's interesting. But yeah, put the banner up. Put the banner up. And again, we'll just leave it. We'll leave it at that. JY, tonight's NBA slate, very light. Are you invested in either one of these games, Bulls, Cavs, or Wolves, Grizzlies?
I'm looking a little bit at a one-player prop, and you're going to be like, who? Dean Wade over 5.5 points.
He was calling the game last night.
Yeah,
couldn't help myself. Couldn't help myself.
Well done, my friend. Well done. Maybe it's his son. But anyway, Dean Wade is over 2 of his last 4 games. But you got to remember, no Evan Mobley. The last 3 times that he's played 23 minutes or more, he's in the starting line because of no Evan Mobley. He's gone over 5.5 props. This is what he's scoring this year is 5.5. And obviously he's going against a fine defensive team that really gives up points to anyone in the post as a power forward, and that's the Chicago Bulls, a team that was hot early and definitely has not been hot as of late. Give me Dean, the Dream Wade, over 5.5 points.
Dean, the Dream Wade?
Well, it was Dean. There was Dean, the Dream Memberger that played for the Knicks in the 70s, but I kind of go.
Wow. All right, you snuck that one by me. I didn't realize that. JY, can I stick NBA for a second? We're gonna get we have Coach. We're gonna do some college picks in just a couple of moments here. Did you come away? So I'll say this: I came away much higher on the Spurs because of the NBA Cup than I entered. I think. Listen, I'm never going to be a huge fan of the Fox stuff, but the reality is this team is more ready to be more of a threat than I initially thought coming into the season. So what I think Fox then is, it allows him to fill in the gaps as Castle and as Harper continue to grow and can give Wemby someone to lean on when he is either on the bench or out because of injury. Again, the Thunder are in their own category of tier, but the San Antonio Spurs winning a playoff series is something that I believe in a lot more now after the NBA Cup.
And Kevin, let's be honest, secretly, they're one of the deepest teams in the NBA no one talks about. When you look at that three-guard lineup of Castle, Fox, and Vassell, obviously the front court of Harrison, Barnes, and Wemby, but to bring guys like Champagnie off the bench, Calvin Johnson off the bench, Jeremy Sohan off the bench, Luke Cornette's been a good find getting him from Boston off the bench. Mitch Johnson's done a great job. They're secretly one of the deepest teams in the league. And I will say this. I think we may have found, I'm not saying they're anywhere near to beat them, we may have found the long-term rival to the Thunder in the West because of the fact that they're pretty much, besides Harrison Barnes, all young. You could look at a team like Houston as well, but with Durant and obviously Van Vliet, some older guys. This is an extremely young team, nowhere near their prime. I think that could be the rivalry shaping up for the next 5 or so years. And Kevin, if it's true, it's going to be fun.
I also, too, I'll just add this quickly, and then again, we're going to get picks, from JY. Steph Castle is, I think, so much better than people realize. You can see it on JY's face. I mean, just like any given night, it's 25, it's double-digit assists, triple-doubles are within reach. I know he's got to clean up maybe some of the efficiency, but, like, that'll get there. And we know he can guard. That's a really good ball club. Let's get college picks from JY after the break on SportsGrid. I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing I don't know if it's a documentary or actors are in it.
It's got
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
That guy, they told me. I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
don't.
Somebody's got money.
In this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's talk college hoops. We got our guy, Coach James Young, in the mix here, JY. I am on card already with Florida and their team total over. Love what I'm seeing from the Gators, especially after JY and some of our producers had to tell me to check my eyes. I thought they had 2 points. They had 12 points. Maybe that's a little concerning, but that's just fine. It's all good. We're off and running here. JY, I think there's going to be a spot where actually head-to-head on this slate. Listen, that's all good. Start me off. One of your favorite sides on this card.
I like Vandy minus the points on the road at Memphis. Listen, Vandy's been one of the surprise teams so far, 10-0, 7-3 against the spread so far this year versus a Memphis team that we need to start to have the conversation about Penny Hardaway. He has switched his, remember, I think a year or 2 years ago, he fired his whole staff right before the season. They have not shown improvement, and Vandy's been pretty good. I know it's 9.5. I know it's a rival in-state game, but I'm going to take my chances on the Vandy team that's playing well. I'll lay the 9.5 points.
Okay, I did play Memphis. Now, I will say this. There's a couple of spots we're taking shots with. I don't disagree with anything JY said. My thought is, though, Vanderbilt looks so good. Maybe they're laying just a little bit too much tonight at Memphis, who, yes, they're 4-5. They have played a good schedule, though, right? They've played Purdue. They've played Baylor. They've played Louisville. They beat Baylor. They kept it within 10 against Purdue. They got crushed by Louisville. I'm hoping that Penny can get his guys up for this game tonight. Give me another pick from you tonight here, JY, on our college basketball board.
Oh, this should be a bad spot. You don't want to be South Florida, because if you watch what happened over the weekend, Alabama got worked, and they didn't get worked in regards to, they got outworked on the boards. And if you've seen the 3 games that Alabama's lost this year, I think it's Purdue, it's the game they lost to Arizona, and Gonzaga, I do believe. All 3 games, they got beat up on the boards. That's not going to happen tonight versus a South Florida team. I expect Alabama to be scoring and scoring at will. Lay the points, roll Tide.
So this is a spot I feel like JY and I find ourselves in actually all the time, where not a head-to-head, but he takes the points or lays the points, and I'm on that team's team total. There were 2 big totals tonight that I just said I don't care, I have to play them. One of them was Florida. The other was Alabama. I played their over 97.5. It's the best bet on the card here tonight. They're coming off a game where they could not score against Arizona because Arizona is one of the 3 best teams in the country right now. And I think it is on the board. South Florida runs. This could be a 115-point night here, truly, from the Crimson Tide. I might as well quickly mention best bets from the rest of our team here, since that's my best bet. AJ is going to stick college. He's going to play Marquette. He's going to lay 4.5 in a little Big East battle. And then the boys in the back there, Chris and Sam, they're going to go to Delaware, Louisiana. I am on Delaware money line. Chris is on Delaware money line. We love that. And Yarnell, these guys have been betting Delaware all season long. That's a real thing. Minucci, the 1-1, passing touchdown, anytime touchdown. Hey, don't limit it. Maybe he catches one. A little Minucci love there in the back. JY, any love here anywhere else on our college basketball card tonight from you?
No love for me there. It'll be interesting now that we get into the weekend where, we'll have some good matchups coming up. I'm really intrigued. Honestly, I know we're jumping. Hopefully, I'll be on by Saturday. St. John's versus Kentucky and Atlanta is a very intriguing team. 2 teams that went heavy into NIL, and they just don't look right. I want people to understand this wholeheartedly. Roster construction matters. You have to build your roster the right way. If you think you're just going to go into the portal and get a bunch of guys who just play basketball together, it doesn't work like that. The good teams, the really good teams this year that went into the portal have found a way. If you look at a team like Gonzaga, they got freshmen, they got Ike, they got Grant Foster, and they go and they get a kid or 2 out of the portal. The best teams in the nation are the ones that get guys in the portal to supplement their roster, not be the roster. Interesting game in Atlanta come this weekend.
One more for me to add on top. I'm going to bet the Lakers tonight. The Mercyhurst Lakers. We're getting 26 and a hook against Syracuse. This is a run the ball game. This is a low total. I'm not looking for Mercyhurst to score. Keep it slow, boys. Keep it slow, JY.
And ready? The 2 worst free throw shooting teams in the country. Syracuse makes Shaq look like Steve Nash from the foul line. And folks, that's not good.
Excellent. We love that. We love that. We're back in the Lakers. The Mercyhurst Lakers. Awesome stuff there from Coach. We got target player props at the top of the hour. Next. I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going
I'm
to
saying
these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. That's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me. I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
In this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions as we are live with you on SportsGrid, and it is time for our target player props heading into week 16 of this NFL slate. Tomorrow provides us one of the most important games of the NFL season between the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. The number one seed could very well be determined in that football game between the Rams and the Seahawks. The Seahawks will go to favorites. I will then sneakily argue the Niners should be favorites. We get Saturday action. The Eagles can repeat as NFC East champs with a win against the Commanders. I will tell you there were some options that were getting eyed up from the team for that game. We kept it a Sunday, but there's going to be some juice there. Bears-Packers, super interesting spot as well. There's a number of injuries that will be impacting that game to potentially create some spots there. So I am really excited to continue to break down this NFL week. It's a great one. We're getting, again, to just that point in the calendar. And what we really have for you tonight is a bit of a valet segment, if you will. It's not my car, but I'm driving it. Our boys in the back put together an excellent set of target player props for you, and it starts with one of the biggest games of the weekend between the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Bucks, where you could even argue it's an eliminator if you want to have any chance at winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Panthers-Bucks, Ted McMillan, and our target player prop on Emeka Egbuka over. This is something that was picked up on, I think, a little bit heading into Thursday Night Football. We're not going to do target player props on Thursday nights. It played out, and I wonder, though, if the books make the full adjustment. When Mike Evans plays, Emeka Egbuka is at his best. There's one outlier against the Pats. He had an awesome 100-plus yard game, but other than that, it feels as if Emeka is at his best when Mike Evans is playing. And why I think this is such a target, because that 45.5 number there that they posted last week, right? Yes, he cleared it. However, Mike Evans was still kind of the story of the game, if you will. Mike Evans had multiple monster catches, finishing with 6 for 132, targeted 12 times. So I don't know if I don't think Emeka Egbuka is going to be wide receiver 1 on this team. It doesn't mean there's not value. Playing a Carolina group that does give up passing yards. We've seen wide receivers have big games against this football team, and I don't think there's any reason Emeka Egbuka can't have another big game against this football team. I will say, as someone who has Ted McMillan, Offensive Rookie of the Year, plus 550 in pocket, I need Ted to have a really good game here because now it's not just about Emeka and the nonsensical pricing of Jackson Dart. Trevion Henderson crept up to the favorite. Dude having multiple 50-yard rushing touchdowns up against Buffalo. And it felt like that was going to be an odds-changing game, and it was. So, interested to see what you get from Emeka? Certainly interested to what you get from Ted. Target player prop number 2. Not 1, but 2. Anytime touchdowns for Jahmyr Gibbs. This is another well-known trend in the back. And it's one I think we've occasionally talked about here on the show, but it's when Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't score. We talk about this so much. I'm in a fantasy football setup where I need Jared Goff to have a big game this weekend. And I was like, Gibbs is going to score multiple this week, though. Because when Jahmyr Gibbs does not score a touchdown, he's getting in the end zone the next week, and often it's multiple touchdowns. Didn't score against the Packers in week 1, only had the 1 touchdown against the Bears. Since that, when he is held out, didn't score against the Chiefs, 2 next week against Tampa Bay, including that 78-yard monster touchdown. Didn't score against Philly, multiple touchdowns against the Giants, including a 69-yarder. Does not score against Green Bay, hung 3 on Dallas, right? So Jahmyr Gibbs having a rock star game, it just feels written in the stars already. It really does. And I do wonder, though, if you can get a decent number on it, because Pittsburgh showed well last week against Miami defensively. And then maybe look, TJ Watt's back. And, Gibbs didn't score, right? Shout to me, what number would you be happy with getting 2+ touchdowns for Gibbs at? We know it's going to be short, right? But, if you get, you're not going to get 4-1, but if you get, 3-1, I think you'd be pretty happy with that. Something in that range. Target player prop number 3. A fan favorite all of a sudden. 9. J.J. McCarthy over 1.5 passing touchdowns. The thing about this is pretty straightforward. I really wonder what the books are going to do here. I really do. The Giants bleed passing touchdowns recently. And J.J. McCarthy, even if it doesn't look great, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? I'm always honest with you guys. I don't think J.J. McCarthy looked great against Dallas. He made a couple of throws, but I don't know. Maybe people would push back, but it doesn't matter. He had multiple passing touchdowns. That's a terrible secondary that gives up a lot of touchdowns. So was the Washington Commanders. He threw 3. So were the Giants. And what we've seen for Kevin O'Connell, they're going to put points up when they play teams like this. You would typically, that's what you would expect. We'll see if there's any weather that limits things, but I think McCarthy's a pretty clean target player prop this week. And I think still due to perception around him, I don't think you're going to be paying through the nose for this one. I don't expect this to be minus 140 on J.J. McCarthy. I think you keep this minus 115 or less. I think you're pretty happy about it. Maybe you clip plus money. You're going to get plus money on Chris Olave's anytime touchdown, and I think that alone can make it a target. Olave is the clear and away. Here's the thing about Chris Olave. It's not just that he's the number 1 for New Orleans. Chris Olave is a very good football player. For Olave, it's about staying healthy, and he has been able to do that really this year. And maybe Kamara comes back. I'm not sure. But I think Vele's out. Kamara's already out? Yeah. That's why we ran to pick up some Audric Estime. Neal's out. Vele's out. And Tyler Shuck, especially when they traded Shaheed, zoning in on Chris Olave. And this is another defense to target in terms of the New York Jets. That Jets defense had some moments of step up and fight. And I think that they deserve credit for that. I mean that sincerely. They had moments of step up and fight. That stuff also fades as the season goes on, and eventually you realize you don't have the talent. And the Jets weren't a great defense while Sauce Gardner and while Quinnen Williams were there. And we've seen that catch up to this team, I think, more and more and more. They just allow a ton of touchdowns. I'll add this, though. I know we did this last week, and they were kind of giving me some stuff for in the bag about the Trevor Lawrence interception prop, and instead he had the game of his life. The Jets then proceeding to fire their defensive coordinator. the stat very loud that they don't have an interception. I'm very curious. Will some of the Jets look to gamble a little bit more? If that, you know what I mean? Like, they're giving up big plays anyway. Like, will this team, is getting an interception going to be more of a priority than for most other teams? Something to think about. Last one, and I think this is an interesting one because we're going to mention something here that is often not mentioned until week 18, maybe 17. It's incentives. Stephon Diggs receptions prop over. Now, the basis of it is just a bounce back spot for Steph Diggs, who we have not seen used a lot over the last few weeks. Even some of the snap count stuff is weird. But now you have the New England Patriots in a bit of a backup against the wall game, and they haven't had that in a while. And I think that could lead to a lot of Stephon Diggs. But it's also that Steph Diggs needs 3 more catches for $500,000. And he has all the time in the world to get that, right? But they are going to make sure he gets it. And I do not think it is a bad idea to familiarize yourself with some of those incentives. That one he's going to get regardless, right? CMC needs to average 60 receiving yards from now until the season's over per game over the 3 games to have 1,000 yards receiving, and then he'll do 1,000. Like, those are the kind of things to keep your eyes on. We got more thoughts from our guy Tom Vecchio after the break on SportsGrid. I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going
I'm
to
saying
these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They
I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
In this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, live on SportsGrid, Game Time Decisions. We are joined by Tom Vecchio. Tom, always great to talk to you. We're going to get involved with some target player props. I do just want to check with this Wednesday night. There's plenty of action over in the NHL slate. Are you involved anywhere here on this Wednesday?
Yeah, only one bet for me tonight. That is Blues Jets over 5.5 minus 110. The Blues are the literal worst defensive team in the NHL, most goals allowed. And, the Jets aren't great. Connor Hellebuyck's still out. So, a little bit of back and forth nature. The scoring should be there. When a road favorite or a road team in the NHL is this heavy of a favorite, they should be scoring.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to look for some scoring in that matchup here. Tom, there's a few different target player props that we can throw at you. I want to start though with Jahmyr Gibbs because I don't know if it's a market that you and I have talked a lot about during this segment. You're a plus money touchdown guy. So I imagine you have not bet Jahmyr Gibbs to score an anytime touchdown since his rookie season, probably.
Well, I have.
Okay.
Situationally, like Gibbs plus line.
Parlay piece. Line. Yeah. So when, if ever, do you dive into the 2 touchdown market? The setup is simple. When Gibbs does not score, the next week he scores multiple touchdowns. And he's one of the most prolific touchdown scorers in the history of football. I mean, early in his career at least, right? What do you make of the potential for Gibbs to score 2?
So, to the first question, how often do I dive into the 2 touchdown market? The answer is never. It would only be what, in regards to what you were referring to in the last segment, which would be incentives, like, he needs 2 touchdowns in the last game of the season. Incentive. That's the time I bet into it. And that's more just like I think it's fun. He's going to hit his incentive. So I don't ever bet 2 touchdowns. However, for Gibbs specifically, often because he's booked at minus 200, minus 250, whatever it might be, going to first touchdown, a market I also don't rarely, if ever, bet. First touchdown or 2 touchdowns for Gibbs, that's really the only way to extract value out of a player such as Gibbs. And the same thing could have been said about CMC or Derrick Henry when they were booked as that heavy of favorites. You're not going to be laying that specifically. So you're going to be shooting for the plus money on 2 because when he does score, he's often getting a second one.
Yeah, I never bet first touchdown because I simply can't get to the – like if I score the first team touchdown but the other team scores, like it'll just drive me crazy. 2+ is interesting, right? Especially what I like the idea of, Tom, is using this Gibbs prop and playing it to another guy for 2+. Like I don't know if there's another player that, kind of, I know I'm a little on the spot, but who you could say, I can see him scoring 2 this week. Like one guy that comes to mind for me is Chase. He still hasn't caught a touchdown since Burrow's come back, right? Like, that's an interesting way to approach it, where now we're getting a better than 10-1 payout.
Yeah, I would say that, or Mike Evans is always a good one, always against the Panthers. You could make a case for, could you make a case for Saquon or A.J. Brown against the Commanders? Because that defense is terrible. Probably. The odds would suggest Saquon, Bijan, something along those lines.
Sure. Let's stick with Mike Evans, Tom. This is another trend that's been building, but the best version of Emeka Egbuka appears to be when Mike Evans is actually there.
Yeah.
How do you think the books adjust the Emeka prop? Last week, he cleared it by around 20 yards, but he wasn't close to the leading receiver on the football team. That was Mike Evans, 12 targets, 6 grabs, and over 130 yards in the game.
So to see him do well when Mike Evans was there at the beginning of the season, not a surprise. Obviously, extra coverage, being shifted over to Evans in a sense, and maybe teams just weren't buying into a rookie receiver, saying like, he put up a big performance in week 1, whatever it may be. We still have to guard Bucky Irving at that time was still healthy, Mike Evans, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't expect it to be a massive adjustment. If we see an adjustment of 10 yards on Emeka Egbuka, I think that is too much. If you told me 6, 7, 8 yards, I think that's fine. But a massive adjustment is too much. Mike Evans, who was at 39.5, if I remember correctly, on that Thursday night game, he's going to be back into the 60s. And that's not an overreaction to what he did. That's just him returning to his normal level where he should be.
Yeah, can I ask you with the offensive rookie of the year? And again, I'm sure that you're not betting the awards market, Tom, but do you have any opinion on just who feels like they've been the best offensive rookie this year? I wonder if there's just a sneaky argument it's actually been Tyler Warren, but like they're just so far removed from the conversation. Yeah. I've bet Ted McMillan. Trevion Henderson has not been the best offensive rookie, but obviously had himself a monster game against Buffalo.
A part of me wants to say it's Jackson Dart, and the wins aren't there, but he goes out and puts up massive number, like 300 combined yards last week, and he's got 3 games to kind of continue to do that. So what he has done, and like the team has new life under him. Like it's a clear difference in the offense. Obviously they've dealt with so many injuries, but I would say what he's done has almost propelled him towards the front end. Man, if he didn't get hurt, I think he would have been the odds-on favorite at this point.
What's interesting with Dart, though, who's never left, that near top of the board. I think it is obviously difficult to play quarterback, but also winning as a quarterback often does so much. They don't win, right? And like that game against the Commanders, his yardage, it falls flat for me, right? They were trailing most of that game. Like, it was just not a... I think the Giants can feel good about Dart, and I don't think he has much of a case for offensive rookie of the year, with also the time missed, right? Which is a really interesting element when we look at Jackson Dart. Let me ask you about another one, though, Tom, with just a rookie quarterback, Tyler Shuck. He's really cozied up to Chris Olave. Is that a guy that you would look to play?
I mean, yeah, he should be throwing. He's their best player. Kamara's out, Neal's out this week. And that's ultimately what we want to see. Like, there's not a whole lot of talent on the Saints outside of Chris Olave. So he should be the one commanding a 33% target share, as we talked about before, when quarterback change where it might be. Like, Juwan Johnson can be good at times. They traded away Rashid Shaheed. Devon Vele is, I believe he's already ruled out. It's like, throw the ball to Chris Olave 12 times this game, get him a touchdown. Yes.
Yeah, I think what's fascinating about the Saints is there's a lot of love all of a sudden for Tyler Shuck down this back stretch here. But, the record is still bad.
Yeah.
Will they talk themselves out of drafting quarterback? And I don't know where that answer becomes yes, but with the way the class is, it's an interesting one. We're going to keep Tom around, talk some more target player props after the break on SportsGrid. I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing I don't know if it's a documentary or actors are in it.
It's got
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
They told me.
They smashed
I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
In this economy,
but they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions back with it right here on SportsGrid. ODU did grab the lead over South Florida with a rushing touchdown on third down. They're up 14-10 now in the Cure Bowl. Vanderbilt Memphis is live from the college basketball landscape. Florida put up 47 in the first half, which is not bad. You're going to need 54 in the second half, but listen, that's around what you would expect. I actually think the live team total at 96.5 is light at 96 and a hook, but I'm not going to look to add on top of that, I don't think. We're going to let it be and hope that they can continue to punish this St. Francis team. We're here with Tom Vecchio on a Wednesday night. Tom, there's a few target player props we have, but also last week we kind of dove into some of these overarching team questions, right? And we know, the Colts were that. The big news today out of Miami, they're going to bench Tua Tagovailoa for Quinn Ewers. The difference between Rivers and Ewers, there's a lot of differences. The big difference, though, in front of mine, to me, is opponent. Miami is going to be playing the Cincinnati Bengals, and people are going to look to bet Dolphins in some capacity. So I'll throw to you open-ended. How would you look to target the Miami Dolphins with Quinn Ewers now at quarterback?
Immediately comes to mind is the prop that I lost on last week with the Dolphins, which is Devon Achane over rushing attempts, where, there's again, this is like we always say this when Sanders was starting. It's like this is a pretty great spot for him to land, right? He's going up against the Bengals. Quinn Ewers is now. Same with Sanders when he's playing the Raiders. Did they want to make that a Quinshon Judkins game? Did they want to make this a Devon Achane game? Do they want him dropping back 30 times and saying, hey, just let it rip. We got to see what we have with him, right? Because if they're going to move off of Tua and they're going to eat the contract, they're going to trade him, they're going to do this, that, or the other thing, they got to know what they have. We know what Zach Wilson is, but we really don't know what Quinn Ewers is. So do they let him throw it, or do they just say, hey, we got to at least kind of save face, and therefore Devon Achane is going to carry the ball 20 times?
Yeah, I'm almost, I don't know, there's some interest of does Ollie Gordon get involved, right? I don't know if they are incentivized to run Achane 25 times. I don't know, right? I don't think Quinn Ewers gives them a better chance to win, right? So is it also on the board that the offense is just bad? I think that's on the board. So
on the board that this could be the literal best performance of the Bengals defense, and the Dolphins score 10 points or 13 points or something. It's well, of course they scored. It's he's making his first career start, and maybe they do scale back on Devon Achane, to your point. It's hey, you only touched the ball combined 12, 15 times because there's no reason to put your best player out there at the end of the season.
Let me ask you another one of a similar, kind of situation. Gardner Minshew filling in for Pat Mahomes. Matchups the Tennessee Titans, who, by the way, since Jeff Simmons has come back, you can't run on Tennessee. So, I mean, does Minshew go out there, throw it 35, 40 times, and these guys eat? What's your current outlook for Kansas City?
My current outlook is bad, especially because Rice is still in the concussion protocol, and it's Wednesday, and he's still in it. And based on the hits that he took, also again, there's no reason for Rice to be out there, right? Their season is over. There's no reason for your best wide receiver to rush back from a concussion to play in a literal meaningless game. So again, the offense with Kelsey and Worthy and Juju and Tyquan Thornton, it's what are we going to get from him if they can't run the ball? It's he may have to throw 30 times, but it's going to be a darn inefficient 30 times, where if you told me he gets to 250 yards on 35 attempts, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, My thing is, I still think Tennessee is really bad. I think Minshew is capable, and I think the wide receivers in Kansas City are all right. I don't know, maybe you know already, Tom, the offensive line outlook for KC in this football game. I mean,
again, do they need to rush these guys back? It's that's part of the issue.
You know what's interesting, though, is I don't think this group is going to look to lay down and die.
No.
That's my opinion.
There's a lot of pride with them, and this matchup is certainly very easy. But 1 week they could falter, and this week down the road they may actually be competent in the final 2 weeks.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think so. We're going to see how it looks against Tennessee. This is looking ahead. I think it's on the board that I bet the Chiefs the rest of the season. I'll just say that they will love the chance to play spoiler on the Denver Broncos in any way that they can, whether that be the 1 seed. The Chargers aren't actually dead for the division yet. I will just say that it's just stuff to keep your mind on. All right? And that's why we do these conversations on Wednesdays. Tom, excellent stuff. Go, run it, look at this kid go! We love that, baby. O to you. Great stuff, Tom. We'll be right back. I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going
I'm
to
saying
these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me. I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
In this economy,
They have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number one picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg. And then he tears the Achilles. All right? You're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ellinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe the starting quarterback this weekend.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, folks, we are back with you on SportsGrid. It is Game Time Decisions, and we've actually kept our guy Tom Vecchio here as we continue to look through some of the live options and also just talk about some of the still things that are coming here within the National Football League. So it's great to be able to keep Tom around. I want to ask you something, just Tom, for the game here tomorrow between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams, because I know you're someone who's more than willing to early bet. This is a line that's been moving towards Seattle. They're now going to settle in, I think, as the favorites in the football game without a doubt. Is this a game that you've already bet?
It's not, and there's so much up in the air about this game, not literally and figuratively, because Schefter tweeting a little while ago that the Rams' flight has been delayed and they're actually having travel issues. And then the weather report that we have for this game looks horrible. It absolutely looks terrible. Rain, is the rain going to be there? Sustained winds, and we're talking about heavy winds in Seattle tomorrow. So to see this line and the total, I should say, drop, not a surprise. To see the Seahawks being shifted to the favorite, not a surprise. Devontae being listed as doubtful, not questionable, doubtful is an issue. So I'm looking back to last week and be like, man, Jonathan Taylor had at least a little bit of success on the ground versus the Seahawks. We have a situation where you can't necessarily throw the ball super efficiently downfield. And now Puka is going to see extra coverage because it's going to be no Devontae, it's going to be Puka and then a bunch of other guys. So the Rams are going to use 13 personnel a lot, or I want to look at Blake Corum props because they have to move the ball down the field and they can't put the entire offense on Kyron Williams. And Blake Corum has been pretty darn good this year. So a split backfield on a short week in a divisional matchup, get the win, and that means more Blake Corum for the Rams.
Yeah, the Devontae Adams injury just doesn't help, right? It's so interesting because I actually don't look at Devontae Adams, and I don't view him as an elite wide receiver at all anymore. I think a lot of his numbers are tied to Stafford's having a great season, and Stafford's, Devontae Adams has obviously just always been incredible at getting open in the goal line, in that red area. So his loss to me is more name than what the numbers suggest, but it does now. It's going to be so much attention on Puka. And all of a sudden, it's like the Rams are just going to be running these multi-tight end personnels. I mean, they might run it over 50% of these snaps, I think. a little bit here. I think you're going to see a ton of it. Seattle had this spot where, you get the 4 interceptions out of Darnold last game. They nearly win. I expect Darnold to be much cleaner in this football game. That does not necessarily mean he's going to be excellent in this football game. But all of that has also been adjusted by this total, right? This low total here is aware that there are injuries and weather and all of that. But I want to ask you a question, Tom, because I've talked through this. We talked a couple of scenarios on Monday night. If I tell you the Seahawks win this game, right, would you be fairly confident then that when they play next week at Carolina off a mini bye, they will win that game as well?
Oh, would I be confident that they win? No. Would I bet on... I'd almost be more inclined to bet on the Panthers, not knowing the line. I'd almost be leaning towards the Panthers at that point. As long as I got over a touchdown, 7 and a hook, I would take the Panthers. But it depends on how the Seahawks win. If the Seahawks win again and we see just like Darnold doesn't look good, he throws interceptions, it's a sloppy game, and they win on a last-second field goal or something, it's like, hey, they eked out a win. That's a different story of them being utterly dominant and manhandling the Rams. Like, those are 2 very different things. And obviously the lines will reflect that moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. And I think maybe the better question would have been me ask, what do you think that line is? And I think, the Rams went there and laid 10.5, right? So I think it's on the board that's a double-digit or at least over a touchdown spread. San Francisco, Tom, just right now, they go to Indianapolis to play Phillip Rivers on a Monday night, and then they'll host the Chicago Bears on a Sunday night. How would you feel about them going 2-0 in those football games?
Good to great.
Okay.
Ricky Pearsall might not play, and he did have a nice performance last week, but Jennings is still there. They're looking good on offense. I was on Purdy's over passing yards on Sunday. The games that he had prior to the bye were absolutely terrible, and it was just an easy get-right spot versus Tennessee. I would feel them good to great about them going 2-0, and frankly, I know their defense isn't good, but there's not many teams that have the postseason pedigree and the coaching that they have. And the 49ers going on the road in the first round of the playoffs and upsetting a team, absolutely on the table.
So there's a reason I'm asking these questions, though. And it then does not involve the Niners going on the road at all. Actually, they wouldn't go on the road after the Colts game. If the Seahawks go 2-0, beating the Rams, beating the Panthers, and the Niners go 2-0, beating the Colts, beating the Bears. In fact, the Seahawks actually may just need to beat the Rams for the scenario that I'm talking about here, and that's probably the case. That might actually be the case, and I'll double check that. Tom, Week 18, Niners, Seahawks, winner's the 1 seed. And that means the Super Bowl favorites, nearly half the next number, might be a wild card team.
Who do the Rams play in week? Oh, they'll be playing the Cardinals, obviously.
Yes, they play Atlanta, but they don't actually matter in this situation where if Seattle, and that's why it matters. So if Seattle wins their next 2, right? If they beat the Niners, winning out at 14-3, they'll finish with a better record than the Rams because they'll hand the Rams a 4th loss.
Okay.
So the Rams are done in that if they win out. But if the Niners finish at 13-4, they'll have the division tiebreaker because they'll have swept Arizona, they will have split with the Rams, and they'll have swept Seattle because they beat Seattle week number 1. It's not just about the Rams being a wild card team. It is on the border now that the top 2 teams to win the Super Bowl are wild card teams. San Francisco, if Seattle, Tom, wins on Thursday, I mean, and I feel like I've made a pretty good case here, and I'm not even making a case. I'm just talking about the
possibilities.
Yeah, the Niners being the 1 seed. If the Seahawks, let me ask you this question, Tom. Week 18 in San Francisco, 1 seed is on the line. What do you think the spread is between San Fran and Seattle?
If it's over 3.5, I assume there'd be immense buy.
Who do you think's the favorite?
San Francisco would be the favorite at home. It'd be maybe slight. It may just be a point, maybe 1.5.
I think it'd be small.
Yeah, it'd be 1.5, maybe 2.5. Because if it pushes past 3.5, everyone would be buying into Seattle. And if it's 2.5, people would be inclined to take the 49ers. It may just be 1.5 as we see tomorrow night. It'd just be San Francisco at home -1.5.
And I'm gonna double check. And maybe I'll do it during the break. But I'm curious if, from the Seattle respect, do they even need to win the Carolina game? You know what I mean?
A conference win would help, and then just the
common opponents.
Yeah.
Let's pull up. Let's go Niners, Rams, Panthers.
It's not a bad because it's a conference game. It's not like they're playing the Raiders or the Chargers.
Seahawks, and then no. So interestingly enough, where are the Rams here? No. So if they do need Seattle to beat Carolina, because the way all the tiebreakers, you're right. The Rams then can get back in front of them for the 1 seed.
Carolina's win percentage drops, therefore it helps the Rams.
But I mean, again, but I'm talking about a scenario again where the current Super Bowl favorite goes into Week 18. So this is the funny thing of it all. Knowing they can't get the 1 seed, by the way, that's when the Rams become the most interesting team to me. Taking a bye Week 18, LA, adjusted as a wild card team, you could then talk to me about Rams futures. Tom, great stuff as always. We're going to talk to Cam Stewart a little bit about this after the break. Game Time Decisions.
I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Michael Jordan retired at the age of 30 in 1993. He missed the 93-94 season. Furthermore, he came back for 17 games in 1995 when he gave up baseball. And when I mean gave up baseball, he gave up baseball on March 18th and came back to basketball March 19th, which means no ramp up, no training camp, no nothing.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
Say
these
if I'm
games.
a fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
That guy, they told me. I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
In this economy,
they have money. I don't know. See what Kalshi says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I see the Lions making it when it's all said and done. I talked to Brady Cannon about this. We were doing our show on Sunday night. I think the Bears are just a season early. I think they're a year early in their development. They are winning games, and they still have a negative point differential. The turnovers are keeping them afloat. That's just not sustainable when it's all said and done. Ben Johnson has done a fantastic job. Next year will be the year they truly take a lead.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live on a Wednesday night, joined by our guy Cam Stewart. It's always great to talk to Cam on a Wednesday night, but this one, it's even a little sweeter because it's right before one of the biggest games of the NFL season with the Seahawks and the Rams. And Cam, I was just talking to Tom Vecchio about if Seattle wins this football game, how likely it becomes the Rams are a wild card team with either Seattle or even San Francisco being the number 1 seed and winning that division. we're looking at one of the biggest games of the NFL season here, no doubt about it. And it looks like Seattle's going to close as favorites in the game.
I got to tell you something, Kev. I think this game is massive for Seattle. You could say it's massive for the Rams, but so many factors. The Sam Darnold angle. Oh, look at his numbers against the Rams the last 3 times. This is huge. We haven't had a franchise game like this. Like I know you get excited. You're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Renzi has Buffalo. My team's been dead in the water for years. Right. And now I can't believe what is happening this year. I can't believe it's happening this quickly. I can't believe the emergence of all the players, this coaching staff, what they've done with this team, the drafting. I'm going to tell you this. Rams, you better be on notice because everybody's on, the Rams. I'm a Rams, Super Bowl, Rams. Mm-hmm. Like, more so than the Seahawks, okay? The lines maker, they're not idiots. Me and Gabe, we talk about it. Always respect the number. People, that line is telling you something. Seattle's live. They're more than live. They played the worst game of the year against the Rams. They lose by 2 points. They're at home. They got a better team now than they had then. They had more injuries in that game. I'm telling you, Kevin, this is it. If you want to, if they can go in and get the job done finally, if Sam Darnold even plays decently, doesn't have to be great, and get that monkey off your back, and then this team is going to be taken seriously. And I'm going to tell you this. The Rams, on the other hand, I think can win road games. I think it's vital for the Seattle Seahawks with Sam Darnold's playoff record to have home field advantage. Fans not getting in his face and freaking him out. I know that's part of the job, but it's essential. This game to the Seahawks, I think it means more than them. I think they will beat the Rams. I think they're actually going to go in there and you're going to see a defensive performance that's going to blow your mind. I'm not even saying this as a fan. I've been very realistic with this team. I thought they'd be better this year. Did I see this? Who the hell saw this? Nobody saw this coming with Seattle. I could tell you this, but they're not afraid of the Rams. They can play with them, Kevin, I haven't been this jacked for a football game in so long, buddy. Like, it's amazing. Like, I'm losing my mind. I can't wait.
But let me tell you something, Cam. You said something that I agree with so much, and I think it's true of – I actually feel like it's true of all these teams, the importance of home field. And the Eagles with Sirianni and Hurts have never lost a game in the playoffs in Philly. They've also yet to win a road game in the playoffs, as a coach-quarterback combination. We know how tough it can be to win in Lambeau, win in L.A., Chicago, Detroit, San Fran. It matters a ton, and that it makes this game all that more exciting. Let's talk a little ice tonight here, Cam. What stood out to you on the NHL board?
Kevin, we had a great night last night. The key is I got to back this stuff up. I have these magical 5-1 nights, and I'm like, oh, yeah, let's bet more and think bad things happen. It's Christmas. I got to not get nuts. I got to buy my lady better gifts. I'm going to do this slowly. Try to build the bankroll instead of throw it all on one game, which me and Gabe do a lot of the times because we like to have fun. But I'm going to be good, Cam, under control, Cam. But I'm going to tell you, Kevin, the Nashville Predators are slowly putting together a nice little streak. They're 7-3 in their last 10, getting no respect by the betting public because who the hell cares about the Nashville Predators? Nobody. But they're playing the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. Lost to this team 6-3 before. We're getting plus 155 at home for a hot hockey team with a revenge angle. The New York Jets, I'll lay 40 cents with these guys. Wish it was a little bit cheaper, but I'll tell you something. The St. Louis Blues, they'll break your heart. You'll be singing the blues. When you open up your wallet, there's no paper, just mothballs, problems, receipts, IOUs. This team will take you to the cleaners, buddy. I used to do karaoke a song. That's why we don't bet on the Blues. And I'll tell you, they're horrible right now. They're a bad, bad hockey team. I want no part of them. If they get it together tonight, so be it. But I think the Jets are in a nice little spot, Kevin. So I got the Predators, I got the Jets, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are golfing on the European
tour.
What
do we got?
Where are we going? To Mauritius. Where's Mauritius? It's a country that has golf, and it's a country that has money, and these guys are there. Kevin, we finished both top fives last week, and some of the picks that we gave out, sleeper teams did well. So we did well on the golf course. This is what we're doing here. 3 picks for you. I'm not screwing around with 6. John Perry is the defending champion of this tournament in great form. A win in a top 5. I'm not screwing around with 16-1 odds. I think that's fantastic. I would have bet him at probably 12. I think he's a superior player in a weekend field. J.S. Olesen, Jacob Skov Olesen, not brother of Thorbjorn Thunderbear Olesen, but also a guy that is playing fantastic golf at 26-1. This guy has 3 top 25s in his last 6. He's got a 4th in there, an 8th, and he's playing great. He's in good form, and he's going to break through. A lot of these young Dane players are very good golfers. Watch out for Denmark. And Daniel Van Tonder, the South African. I've been following this guy, too. And let me tell you, Kevin, I like betting guys with form, especially when we're getting 50-1. 3rd, 10th, 14th. That's his last 3 starts. You want to talk about a guy knocking on the door at 50-1? I will answer the door for your boy, DVT. DVT. We can't call him Daniel. He's DVT now, Kev. You're a wrestling fan. Let's break down the door, DVT, and get us a nice win at 50-1. I'll be playing these guys for top 10s and 20s as well, Kevin. Should be a lot of fun tonight on the ice. Let's get some winners. And I'll tell you, Kev, I'm all in on Seattle tomorrow night. You know that, not just as a fan pick. I think it's a good spot for these guys. And if they can't get it done, then kudos to the Rams. But this is your spot, Seattle. You got to get it done.
It is their spot. It is. It's a Thursday night. It's at home. The weather's going to be really rough. And I really believe this. I think Darnold is going to play a clean game. I don't think he's going to throw for 300. That's nonsense. I just think he's going to play clean football. I actually think in some respect, and this is because Cam and I, we've had a lot of conversations about Darnold. I almost feel like he doesn't actually have as much pressure on him because he knows he can't play worse than how he played against this team. All of the film, he's going to be, everything he watches about the last game, it's, okay, don't do this, don't do this. I just think it's going to be easier, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to discredit the Rams.
It does make sense.
Like Sam Darnold, listen, I don't think Sam Darnold's winning a Super Bowl. He's not the worst quarterback in the league. That guy's going to play better football on Thursday, Cam. So, I see it, pal. I'll be rooting for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great stuff, as always, to talk to Cam Stewart. We're going to get best bets, everything that you need after the break right here on Sports Grid.
If I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on Sports Grid.
Michael Jordan retired at the age of 30 in 1993. He missed the 93-94 season. Furthermore, he came back for 17 games in 1995 when he gave up baseball. And when I mean gave up baseball, he gave up baseball on March 18th and came back to basketball March 19th, which means no ramp up, no training camp, no nothing.
Pro basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
I'm
these
saying
games.
I'm a fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
They told me. I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing. They do. Well, somebody's got money.
In this economy,
but they have money. I don't know. See what Kalshi says about the economy.
Sports Grid's College Football Today.
I see the Lions making it when it's all said and done. I talked to Brady Cannon about this. We were doing our show on Sunday night. I think the Bears are just a season early. I think they're a year early in their development. They are winning games, and they still have a negative point differential. The turnovers are keeping them afloat. That's just not sustainable when it's all said and done. Ben Johnson has done a fantastic job. Next year will be the year they truly take a lead.
Newswire. Only on Sports Grid.
Live on Sports Grid, Game Time decisions. Let's update this live board. Florida's got 73 with 10:20 left in the second half against St. Francis. Live team total 98.5. So we have life. We're going to need a couple of threes to fall. It's such an interesting spot. They can score whenever they want, but you know when it's a big number like this, you got to be on it. And the threes have not fell tonight. They can go inside and get anything they want, but from beyond the arc, 6 of 19, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough, but we're going to keep rooting that in. We're at the break. Syracuse, Mercyhurst, that's 39-23. The Orange are up, so a 16-point lead. We're alive, right? We're not. I mean, I assume the live number is probably right around where we talked about it. Let's see if we can pull this thing up here. No, because I'm on the wrong thing. It's probably right around, though. All right, it's probably right around. We're in the mix with Memphis. I'll say, though, I wish it was better. And you might be like, well, of course. My thing is, Vanderbilt has 28, shot 27% from the floor, 3 of 17 from 3. Memphis has to take advantage. But offensively, they've been even worse. And Vanderbilt's a much better offensive team. So you would love for that to be 30-28, 34-20. Like, that's a great defensive half. All in all, though, not a great half for Memphis. To still be trailing 6 under that game script is frustrating. As far as the Cure Bowl goes, we've played 3 quarters. It looks like South Florida is going to start the fourth quarter with the 4th and 5 inside ODU's 40 that they're going to go for. Understandably, I mean, you're not going to kick it. You're not going to punt it. You're down 17-10. But this is going to be a big game. This is going to swing the number a lot. Live total 41.5, minus 158 under. Spread 5 and a hook. They're probably thinking we're now into no field goal territory with South Florida, so it's either a do or don't situation. We're going to root in ODU. Late night, we're going to root in Delaware. I bet Delaware money line. That's going to be Chris's best bet, which you got to respect. Minicucci, the 1-1 passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. We did a whole crash course in show how to say his name. Shout out to the boy. Shout out Minicucci from Midland Park, New Jersey. Somewhere local, you assume. Somewhere local, you'll assume. So those are on-board best bets for the boys in the back. We're going to play Delaware there. Lunch Winfield may not be 100%. And Louisiana's going to have to run the football to have any success here in this game against Delaware. I'll take my chances. Big-time total with the Blue Hens offense and Minicucci. As far as the rest of the slate here, I'm not involved with the NBA tonight. It's just not a good card. That's fine. That, price you pay a little bit for the cup. We get right back at it tomorrow with a really good NBA slate. Of course, Seahawks, Rams will be all over it, but you've got good games. Suns, Warriors, Pistons, Mavs. The Thunder off of the loss is always interesting. Knicks off the cup win. Lakers in action against the Jazz with Luka and LeBron. So there's a lot of good stuff for us to follow NBA-wise tomorrow. But the Bulls and the Cavs in Chicago, and that is the Wolves and the Grizz in Minnesota. Ja Morant is out for that basketball game now, so that is confirmed along with Anthony Edwards. College basketball, rest of night for me. Marquette, by the way, for AJ. He's going to lay 4.5 in the Big East battle there. Marquette's had a bit of a rocky start, but they're playing Georgetown. Booked his faves, opening up Big East play. Hopefully they get the job done there for AJ. I'm going to play Alabama team total over. I said it. There's 2 big-time totals that I wanted to play. And first was Florida, rooted in. Second is Alabama, 97.5. I think it's climbed up to 98 and a hook. Or does it come down? Because it looks like the full totals now come down. Let's get eyes on this quickly here before. Oh, my gosh, South Florida punted? I mean, it's a perfect punt. Here's the thing. It's a perfect punt, but the ODU run game's working. ODU, if they can put a drive together, they'll ice this game. If they can put a drive together, they will absolutely, absolutely ice that game. 96.5 for the Bama team total. So that's fine. So we're right around it. You can get involved at the best of the number there. I think Bama scores 100+ in this basketball game against South Florida. That's a fastball club. Bama in a bounce-back spot. We love what we have there. I'm also playing San Francisco tonight. I know, again, little off the beaten path, but I was really kind of going through the board. Loyola Chicago is awful. Awful. One of the worst teams in college basketball. And the Dons, we've talked about teams like this. It's a group where the record, I think, creates a bit of value. They're better than 6-5. They played a good schedule. They've lost some close basketball games. I laid 12 with San Fran tonight in that matchup there, going up against Loyola Chicago. So that's where we're going to lock that in. Man, there's a lot going on, folks. That's why you're lucky. This In-Game Live is next, right here on SportsGrid to take you through it all.